chat with Carl about the new parts, and we're happy that they've been integrated into the car okay. With any luck, you'll be able to feel the improvement, so give them a try.
That is what I like to hear. Thank you, Jeff, for that one. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2019 career mode for the round in Brazil today. And I am very much looking forward to this race around this wobbly spaghetti circuit. Two upgrades to the chassis side, one of those being a major and one to the aero side. So we should be very, very fast, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out in qualifying and more importantly in the race. But we have all dry conditions, just cloudy and overcast for qualifying. But in the race, there will be some rain coming through, maybe around half an hour into the race, which will be very interesting. See how that affects the strategy. We'll really just have to find out when we get there. Sometimes rain can come in a bit early, a bit later. Sometimes the weather forecast can change, so there's no point planning what we'll do this early. We'll see how qualifying goes, see where we are, and see how the opening laps go once we get there. But yeah, so as for the upgrades, you can see we are third fastest now, which is absolutely insane. The major upgrade and minor upgrade on the chassis side there going on, as well as the aero one. We have a 0% chance of failure, so that is really good, and why the upgrades have been coming in so fast recently. And yeah, we're really closing the gap to those big teams. We are now first on the chassis side, which is absolutely insane. First on the aero side as well. We maintain that, and we'll probably do that front downforce upgrade before the end of the season as well, just to balance that out and hopefully get that on the car for Abu Dhabi. But we'll get to that at the end of the episode. You can see we've barely touched the engine side. That'll be our project for next season, to work on that side of the car and bring that up to scratch, and hopefully bring us into a title contending year. But for now, the focus is on Brazil and getting the best result we can here. So let's do that and get into qualifying, see where we can go.
Welcome along then to Interlagos as we await the green light to get today's qualifying session underway. Turns 1, 2 and 3 that form the Senna S are a series of tight left, right, left turns that really are an extremely difficult sequence of corners to master. The first turn runs downhill left-handed and provides massive understeer. It's then followed by a fast right-left combination through the Curva do Sol and onto the Reta Aposta straight.
Added in 1990, when F1 racing returned to Interlagos, it is fitting that one of the best corners on the F1 calendar takes its name from one of the sport's greatest drivers, Ayrton Senna. Get this section wrong and you'll leave yourself open for the overtake on the approach to turn 4.
So then, Ant, it's another Grand Prix weekend, another exciting qualifying session ahead of us. What are you going to be looking out for over the next few minutes?
The first question's going to be who can avoid making mistakes. There isn't much margin for error in qualifying, and you have to bear in mind that the track conditions may have changed since practice, particularly as we've had a few support races in the meantime. If the brake bias settings, for example, don't take this into account, it's extremely easy to lock up a front wheel and cause a flat spot. Just like that, your lap's ruined and you've wasted a set of tyres to boot.
So Q1, as ever, is a formality for us. Sergio Perez actually struggling a bit down in P11, though we show some fairly decent pace in the car, so that's always encouraging to see. But George Russell knocked out down in 15th position, along with Giovinazzi, Kvyat, Raikkonen and Robert Kubica will be starting from the back of the grid. Let's get into Q2. So Q2 also basically a formality for us at this point. Kevin Magnussen getting knocked out in the Renault, but still a decent qualifying for him, out-qualifying the two McLarens of Weber and Norris in 12th and 13th. Alex Albon 14th, Daniel Ricciardo also knocked out in the other Renault. So very unusual to see Magnussen out-qualifying Ricciardo in those Renault cars. But that is the way it's played out this time. Let's get into Q3. So here we go, Q3. I'm just setting the one lap to save some soft tyres for the race. I think that they will come in handy with the rain hanging around. If we have a short run to the flag after the rain goes away, soft tyres could be useful for that. But you never know when a spare set will come in handy. So yeah, just doing the one run, getting through the first half of the lap, or first sector or so, fairly cleanly, and just trying to make sure we get a decent lap in. We've got good pace, but you would have seen in Q2 we were down in P9, and that's because I made a bit of a mistake, just trying to push the limits on that lap. So just trying to keep it on the island, and it will put us up the grid a fair way, just with the natural pace of our car. And a few awkward lines through the middle sector, but as long as we get onto the straight cleanly, as you can see we have done that, we should be on for a pretty good lap time. So let's see what we can do. Flat out to the line, DRS open. I feel like the DRS zone is longer this year, which is interesting, but anyway, we cross the line, see what we can do.
Nice job.
P4, not bad at all. Not bad at all.
We're all ready for tomorrow's race, but before we begin, let's have a quick look at those who will be fronting the grid. Hamilton, Verstappen and Nico Hülkenberg. With qualifying complete, all that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
Alright, that is very, very interesting. The Red Bull's looking very strong, second and third. As you would expect, they've done some upgrades recently, but Lewis Hamilton looking good in terms of the championship. He is on pole, and his rivals down in 8th and 9th in Vettel and Bottas, but Vettel has a championship lead at this point, so he has a little bit of room, a few points to play with, but he will need a comeback drive and a half in this one to stay in the fight. So this will be interesting, so let's see how it goes. Let's get into the race.
Well done. Very solid results. You're looking good for the race.
Thanks, Emma. And that 4th place in qualifying will also satisfy our objective, so we'll get a bunch of resource points at the end of this one. But focusing on the race now, you can see we've still got those 2 rain icons to worry about half an hour or so into the race. So that'll be interesting to see how that affects the results, but let's get into it.
As surely as the sun rises in the morning, the Brazilian Grand Prix packs out the grandstands and creates incredible drama. Title deciders, heartbreak, triumph and home glory. All these and more can be found in abundance here at the Autodromo José Carlos Pache. Interlagos, always a very special race here in Brazil. It's a 2.7 mile circuit with 9 lefts and 6 rights for a total of 15 corners. The fastest lap today should have an average speed of around 135 miles per hour, if of course the weather stays dry until the end of the Grand Prix. With so much on the line here today, I can't help but shake the feeling that we're going to have a bit of pushing and shoving, Anthony Davidson, especially into turn 1 this afternoon.
Well, we do see a fair amount of that here at Interlagos, Crofty. It's a tricky braking zone, of course, as you're heading downhill into the centre S, which always makes it easy to lock the inside front and run a bit wide. We've seen a number of occasions over the years with someone from the leading group taking a bit of a knock on the first lap and having to recover. That's one of the reasons we've had so many exciting championship fights here. Hopefully, though, it'll be a clean start, of course, but as you say, I wouldn't be too surprised if it's not.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have the scientist, Leclerc, Sergio Perez, and Butler, Vettel, Bottas, Gasly, and Kevin Magnussen, Hülkenberg, Albon, Daniel Ricciardo, and Russell. Giovinazzi, Fiat, Kimi Raikkonen and Robert Kubica. Norris, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. And Lucas Weber completes the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Okay, you've qualified higher than we expected, so let's try to build on this position throughout the race.
Alright, thanks Jeff. Let's try to do that. Looking at the strategy, we're starting on the softs, and then really there's not a lot to look at. I did look at strategy just in case things happen. I was looking at how long tyres last and how many of each tyres we had, things like that. But I think we've only got that one extra set of soft tyres, so I'll save that for the end of the race if we need to use it. But let's get on to the formation lap, get this set up to temperature.
Okay, go through all the gears if you can. We need to make sure the engagement is okay before the start. We're going to want to put some temperature into the tyres and brakes. We need to keep the engine cool though, so don't go too high with the revs.
And try to get a good start to this race. And hopefully we'll get an update on this lap as to where...
Conditions look stable at the moment. No rain currently expected.
Exactly what I was about to say, where the weather is. So the rain's not going to come for quite a while, so there might be a pit stop before the rain comes. We'll see how it all goes. But let's get ready to start the race.
Keep an eye on the lights. The start sequence will begin as soon as the grid has formed. Be ready with the clutch.
I am ready, so let's go to 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go for the Brazilian Grand Prix. It's a bad start for Hamilton, a nice one for us. And it's 3 wide with Verstappen on the inside. And we're just going to back out of this one. A little bit of a bump there with Verstappen. But Hamilton into the side of Verstappen, around, and we've got damage as well. So that is a crazy start to this race.
Safety car.
Safety car.
No overtaking. Reduce your pace.
And all sorts of chaos going on behind. We'll get a replay from the off-board to try to get a better idea of what just happened. We got a really great launch in between Hamilton and Verstappen. Not really anywhere else for us to go there, but very hard to be the middle car when you're running 3 wide. So we backed out of it. Hamilton, though, just sent it. Verstappen had the position more or less. And Hamilton, very aggressive there, really wanted the lead of the race. He was never going to get it there, though. And... well, it's Esteban knock-on all over again, isn't it? That's about all there is to it there. We'll get a replay. And yeah, nothing Verstappen could have done there. There was even a bit of space there. And or at least enough space for him to not crash. And he did. So yeah, very opportunistic and over-aggressive for Hamilton there. And that's really cost him. And well... it's cost me as well. We've got damage to the front wing on the right hand side. We'll have a look from some more angles to see if we can spot anything else. Just our car sparking away there, but no one else's for some reason. It's a bit unusual, but Leclerc almost managing to avoid the incident, I should say. Hamilton reversing in front of him, and Leclerc understandably not happy about that. Not sure what Hamilton was doing there. That is very, very poor from Lewis Hamilton, but that is unbelievable. And yeah, he reverses straight into the path of Charles Leclerc and then drives forward to block off everyone else as well. So we'll have a look on board with Devon Butler and see what he saw. And it's just all a bit of a pile up at this point, isn't it? Gives Perez a bit of a nudge as they all come to a stop, and it's just a car park really. Sebastian Vettel, championship contender. Let's see if he managed to get through the incident without any damage, and it looks like he was able to react in time there and not get any damage to his front wing, so that's good for him. But damage surely for Lewis Hamilton after T-boning Verstappen there. And we'll have a look on board with George Russell, a car back in the field, just to see how far back all this went. The whole field just come to a complete stop. So safety car is out. Bert Mylander there waving the back markers through as he waits for the race leader. But here's the race director. We've got collision warnings for Gasly and Bottas. We've got penalties for Hülkenberg, Butler, Hamilton, Leclerc, Sebastian Vettel and Pierre Gasly, as well as George Russell being disqualified for driving the wrong way, which is interesting to say the least. But anyway, through all of that, Max Verstappen remains the race leader from his pole position. We have to come in from second place. So we did all the right things at the start, but just got caught up in an incident. So yeah, into the pits we come, and we need to get a new front wing. You can see how broken it was just there. So in we come to get that new tyres on the car, front wing on, and we'll get back underway very soon. But yeah, very disappointing off the start there, that Hamilton really just ruined that for us. But anyway, that's the cards we've been dealt this time, so let's work with it and just see if we can make a comeback drive through the field, and I don't know, see if we can make some headlines that way. But yeah, for now we are in last place, 19th place, minus George Russell, who has been disqualified. But Bert Mylander accelerates away from the field in the safety car, leaving Max Verstappen in charge. And there are a lot of cars, a lot of fast cars very deep in the field, either getting caught up in an incident or with some damage as well. So this could be very interesting to see how this plays out. Let's see when Verstappen goes to restart the race, and he goes now, and it seems like a pretty good restart for him, and he'll go unchallenged into the center S. But as we look further back to us, we've got a good run on Robert Kubica, and we're straight past him before we even get to the center S. And now we've got Lando Norris and Lucas Weber in the McLarens round the outside of both of them, but we can't hold it round the outside there. I wasn't convinced that Weber was going to leave the space there, and we just slotted behind them again. Robert Kubica putting the pressure on as we head towards turn 4, but he won't be close enough. And that Williams car not very fast in the straights or around the corners, unfortunately for them. And oh, we've almost lost the rear end into the wall there, but thankfully just about able to keep it out of the tyres. That was almost the end of the race for us there, and very lucky to get away with that. Robert Kubica taking evasive action there as well in the foreground.
The car behind has started to drop back. There's a gap beginning to form.
But thankfully no contact was made with any Williams cars or barriers, and we're able to continue on. But now we're putting the pressure on Lando Norris, and he's defending all the way to the inside line, so we go around the outside, down the outside, and we should be able to just about get this move done fairly easily, and we do just that. And we can now focus on the Toro Rossos up ahead, the first one being Danny Kvyat, as we go a little bit deep into the second sector now. But thankfully we're able to hold off Lando Norris there, and can continue on our way again. So now, where can we make a move on Danny Kvyat? Thought about it into the Hamilton Albon corner, but thought better of it for that reason. So while they're all sort of holding each other up here, we go down the inside into the final major corner on the circuit, and we get that move done. And still actually got a fairly decent exit out of the corner, and we're still going to be putting the pressure on Albon with the DRS open as we head towards the center S. We're not going to be close enough, but
We think we may see some rain. ETA is about 15 minutes.
alright, so now the rain is coming. That'll also make things interesting, but we go down the inside of Albon into turn 4. That was an aggressive move from a long way back, but we just about made the move and got it done ahead of Albon.
Great maneuver. You made it look easy.
And we'll have a look at the replay here to see just how far back we came from, a few car lengths at least, but we just managed to get down the inside without making any kind of severe contact with Albon. He did give us a little bump on the way through, but we were 3/4 past him at least by that stage. But we got up to Ricciardo down the outside into turn 4, around the outside, but we can't hold it on the track. Carried a little bit too much speed, and Ricciardo holds on. But we've got some momentum on the exit, and we're going to go to the inside of turn 6, down the inside, and we're going to get that position there. And that is a very unusual place to make a move, but we have done it, and moved our way up ahead of Ricciardo up into what is P14 now. So making some steady progress back through the field. Next up is the Alfa Romeo of Antonio Giovinazzi, defending into the first corner. We're not able to make it around the outside there, just waiting for a better opportunity, and that will come when we get DRS along the next straight, heading towards turn 4. Giovinazzi, is he going to defend? He is. We'll go down the outside just like we did to Ricciardo, but this time we keep it on the road.
Nice move. Good job.
And thankfully for us, we're able to make that move cleanly that time without running off the track. So the progress continues, but Lucas Weber is up next, and he is flying through the field as well. It is worth noting Devon Butler is up next for him. So yeah, we'll have to watch out for Weber. I think he'll have very good pace once he gets into clean air. But here he is overtaking Devon Butler along the main straight with a DRS. Butler no defense there at all. And it will soon be our turn to overtake our British rival. But having a little bit of trouble controlling the car through those first two corners there. But hopefully we'll be able to get our act together for the rest of this lap and hopefully make a move on Butler in the not too distant future, because you can see the gap that he's got to Weber already losing some time there. So Butler clearly not with a lot of pace in this one, but I'm just going to be patient, wait for an opportunity. There's not really any chance to overtake in the middle sector, so you just have to wait until the final sector. And you can see trying different lines here. No way of going around the outside, but I had a little think about going up the inside there, and you can see how close we're running now that it's getting to
Rain is forecast in just over 10 minutes time. Rain in 10 minutes.
the important corners down the inside into the last major corner on the circuit. Accelerate out of the corner, and we are clear of Devon Butler, and he didn't have too much to offer in way of a defense there. And we had set that up from a few corners earlier. Butler so slow through the middle sector, which is quite strange to see. He must have some kind of damage to his car, because yeah, he is incredibly slow through there. So that's unfortunate for him, but he was obviously unable to stay out of trouble in this one. But next up, once again, is Lucas Weber. But not for long, because he's putting pressure on Lewis Hamilton of all people. Hamilton with some damage in this one as well. And he's going to go around the outside of Lewis Hamilton through turn 4, and he's done it. He's only just gone and done it. Lucas Weber around the outside of Hamilton. That is absolutely insane. And it won't be long until it's our turn. Lewis Hamilton, we're lining him up down the inside into the first corner. And we get that position away from Lewis Hamilton, missing the apex a bit there. But it doesn't matter. We've got the position. And we move our way up into 11th position now. So we're almost into the points at this point in the race. So that is some really, really nice progress. And Hamilton gives us a hit as he tries to come back. I don't know what he was doing there. He's been dropping through the field like a stone and just tried to send it up the inside. A desperate move.
We think there's rain coming pretty soon.
So yeah. Very lucky of Hamilton not to take himself out of the race, but we move on. We've got Lucas Weber up ahead, battling away once again.
We're catching the car ahead by around 5/10 a lap.
And this time it's with Kevin Magnussen. He's down the inside, around the outside of turn 2. And as ever, he makes the position, but we've got to run on Magnussen. So let's see if we can make this move as well as we head towards turn 4 along the straight. DRS open for us, and we go down the outside of Magnussen, and he doesn't make that too difficult for us there. And we get that position. So now officially up into the points paying positions, but the rain is not too far away, so this could get very, very interesting. Kimi Räikkönen's up next. We're 3 wide briefly for a moment there, and we're trying to go down the inside of Weber at the same time, as he might be a little bit distracted, but unfortunately for us, a bit of a mistake there, and Weber is able to hold on, as you can see some spots on the camera lens. And the rain is just starting to come down as Kimi Räikkönen closes up again, but unable to make a move there.
15 minutes till we expect the heavy rain to arrive. Dries seem like the best tyre for now.
But we've got decent pace still, and we go down the inside of Lucas Weber as we head towards the first corner, and no competition there with the DRS open. We're able to get through a bit of a slide, but we're able to hold on to it and get the position away from Lucas Weber, now up into 8th. Or 9th position rather, and just having a look on the replay, and there's the slide, but thankfully able to control that, but a little bit crazy there, but yeah, no, it was 8th position, I was right, as we come into the pit lane for our stop onto the intermediate tyres, and they will take us through hopefully until the rain stops, and hopefully we can continue our charge through the field. But we've lost track position. That's Kimi Räikkönen in front of us, but we are still in 8th, which is interesting that we've managed to pull that off, but we must have jumped a few cars. But yeah, Raikkonen has jumped us and potentially some others.
DRS has been disabled by the stewards.
But in net positions, there has not been a change, as we make a bit of a mistake there, and Sebastian Vettel is on the left-hand side. He's going to find his way through there, and we're not going to fight that too hard. Vettel, obviously in the Ferrari, went up quite...
You coping okay in this weather? We're watching the amount of standing water on the road. For now, we think it's safe to stay with the Inter.
We're not quite at their level yet, even though on paper we are right in the fight with the top teams. Just, yeah, Vettel very fast in these conditions, it seems, and we're not able to keep up with him. Meanwhile, Sergio Perez is running P2 in this race, holding up Valtteri Bottas, that is, who is running in third. But yeah, it is a really solid race for Sergio so far.
Copy.
And hopefully he can bring home that good result.
The car ahead is 2.6 seconds.
But for us, we haven't had the same pace in the rain. The comeback sort of came to a bit of a standstill, unfortunately, and it
You've
was
lost some time to the car behind.
more just about trying to keep the car on the track and trying to lose the minimum amount of time
Sergio is in for his stop.
as possible. But then
Okay, gap ahead is 3.8 seconds.
everyone actually came in for the wet tyre, the blue wall tyre, and I decided at this point, if I wanted to try to get a good result, I could potentially jump quite a few cars if I just stayed on the inters the whole time. So I thought I'd give it a try, and I've really got nothing to lose at this point, as you can see Hulkenberg finding his way past there.
Hulkenberg is stopping now.
But again, he stops and puts the intermediate tyres back on not long after that initial stop. So yeah, it was a very...
Okay, at the current pace and fuel settings, we won't have enough fuel for the end of the race. Consider lowering the fuel mix.
It was a very short
You
run.
have P5, Gasly ahead. Okay, gap ahead is 8.6 seconds. They're on fresh wets. Leclerc behind. They've entered the pit lane. They're on fresh inters. The gap to the leader is 51.6 seconds. The pit window is open. Pit window currently open. 23 laps to go.
And it's thrown us right into contention now for a podium, I would assume, with Gasly just 8 seconds ahead, and we're already in 5th position with more cars needing to pit for inters. We could be on for a really nice result, but these tyres we're on are very old, and we are lacking a lot of pace at the moment on these tyres, so that is the only possible downside.
The radar's showing a clear patch on its way. There's about 10 more minutes of this rain. Inters look like the best tyre for now. Our gap to the car in front is 4.1 seconds.
And as everyone else makes their stops, we jump up to P2 with only Max Verstappen left up ahead of us. So
You're sat in P2, Verstappen ahead. The gap to the car ahead is 48.1 seconds. They're on fresh inters. That is Sergio behind you. They're on fresh inters. 22 laps to go. Open.
what? What I was going to say, the sooner that the rain ends, the better it is for us, because we're just going to be losing time now on these old intermediate tyres, and the first car in line for that
We're
is
looking at another 5, maybe 10 minutes of this rain. Inters seem like the fastest tyre for now.
Perez and Bottas down the inside, and 3 wide into turn 1, and I just let them continue with their battle, and it looks like Bottas is going to get the better of Perez finally in the battle that they've been having for quite a while in this race. Bottas finds his way up into P2 now, with only Max Verstappen up ahead. Sergio Perez still holding a podium position for us as the Racing Point team, and yeah, demotes us down to P4, but we're still potentially on for a decent result.
This rain should be ending shortly. Be ready for the grip to come back, but don't overheat the tyres. We're not certain which is the best tyre right now. Dries or inters. Gap to car in front is 4.1 seconds. Check your MFD for a new strategy option.
And you can see now really
Okay,
struggling
copy that.
to keep the car on the track. These tyres are absolutely dead. And
Okay, we can take you this lap.
yeah, we are going to come in this lap, put new tyres on, trying
We're
to
in P4,
keep everyone
that's
behind.
Sergio ahead. Okay, gap ahead is 4.1 seconds. They're on fresh inters. Leclerc behind. The gap is less than a second. They're on fresh inters. 0 seconds. Your pit window is open. Pit window is open. 15 laps still remaining.
And a 15 lap sprint to the end, so soft tyres
Soft tyres at the next pit stop.
on for the rest of the race as we come into the pits, and hopefully not speeding. That was a bit close, but we were able to get us stopped very close with Hulkenberg pulling up right behind us there as well. And we're actually going for an onboard here with Nico Hulkenberg, and you can see just how close he was there. He might have even ghosted through the back of our car. The way the camera jumped away there would suggest that. But into the stop he goes, into the stop we go, and we get our service in pit lane. Another long stop, so that's unfortunate for us. But you know, both times we were pitting behind Perez.
That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops.
So that is to be expected, I suppose. But a bit unfortunate that we had two very long stops in this one. But that's the way it goes. But we're out of pit lane and on our way once again. And as we overtake,
Is at target -1. Let's turn the engine down, please.
as we get overtaken rather by Charles Leclerc, drops us down into P6. So top 5, looking out of range. We try to come back at Leclerc, but not to be on this occasion. And this is where I wish I still had a fresh set of soft tyres left to play with, but unfortunately we had to use those in the first stint, and yeah, that's cost us at this point. Otherwise we may have just had a slightly better chance at a top 5 finish here. But 6th place still isn't bad, but we're going to have to fight for it with Pierre Gasly down the inside into the first corner, and we're side by side. Gasly's through, but we're going to try to get a switchback and get a run onto the straight.
Is gaining on you by 0.5 a lap.
And we have to watch out for other cars behind, but a bit of breathing space for now as Gasly defends. We go to the outside, down the outside, round the outside, and we get that position away from Gasly. A little bit off circuit, but we have got the position nonetheless from Gasly, so it's all coming together for us at the moment. But Gasly is very, very quick, and he's going to come back at us down the inside into turn 4, and he gets the position switch back for us to the inside, but he covers that off. Can we make a move into turn 6 like we did on Ricciardo? Not going to happen. But moving on once again.
This is your final lap. Final lap of the race.
Final lap of the race now, around the outside of Gasly into the first corner. Not going to happen. Massive aggression over the curbs, trying to sit in the slipstream behind him. Max Verstappen sets the fastest lap, and with that wins the Brazilian Grand Prix. But for us, it is not over. We are right behind Gasly in the slipstream.
Lap of fuel now. The tank is empty.
Down the outside, round the outside of Gasly, keep it on the track, and we get that position. Really nice move there, around the outside of Gasly. And now we just have to finish off this lap in order to keep this 6th place finish. And that was a really nice move, right on the grip limit around the outside, and that was quite satisfying. Here's the onboard with Gasly, just opened the window at the wrong time for us there around the outside. If he stayed on the racing line, I don't think we would have been able to go down the inside. We were too far back, but he left the outside open, and that's cost him there. But we now just have to keep the car on the racing line and defend the lines where I feel like we need to. And we should be able to come across the line in P6. I actually feel like Gasly has more pace, but it was just the DRS that really kept us in the mix there. And now we've only really got one corner to focus on for the rest of this lap.
Our gap to the car in front is 3.7 seconds.
And with a decent enough exit there, Gasly too far behind, and we won't be challenged for the rest of this race. So as we come across the line, this is going to bring an end to what is a pretty successful comeback drive back to P6.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
I have to say that race was a lot of fun.
Victory for the team from Milton Keynes then, after a quality performance. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, the safety car completely changed the race, didn't it? It's hard to say exactly what would have happened without it, but there's no question that they came out of that situation in a good position.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everyone at the team.
So Max Verstappen wins the Brazilian Grand Prix. Valtteri Bottas bringing himself back into the championship fight with a solid second place. And what did I say? Sergio Perez up on the podium for Racing Point.
And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. It wasn't the best weekend for our championship leader, and their advantage at the top has been reduced. Some amazing talent out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
Well, I have to give it to Lucas Weber. Cool, calm, collected, a very consistent performance, and one that he can definitely be proud of today.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Mercedes continue to extend their lead, and with that we wrap up another weekend of motorsport. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
A storming drive from Lucas Weber, it is worth mentioning, from last place up into P8. That is no mean feat for an AI driver. So well done to Lucas for that one. But only slightly better for us. That was really only the strategy that got us those extra positions. Otherwise we would have been right around where Weber was. But yeah, that was a crazy race. We'll get this to see a replay of the start where it all went wrong for us, and indeed for Hamilton. More so for Hamilton, he didn't pit for a new front wing. Perhaps he should have, and we would have been charging through the field together. But that was the moment where this whole championship picture has changed, because now the fight for the lead is very tight between Vettel, Bottas and Hamilton. I think the three of them are covered by just 8 points. Bottas 4 points behind Vettel, and Hamilton a further 4 points afield. So yeah, it is a very tight championship fight with only one race to go, and the championship will be decided more or less on who wins that race. But there is a wild card in that, and of course that is us as the Racing Point team getting in the mix towards the end of the season. If we get a few more upgrades on the car, we might just be able to get the fastest car for that final round, as we go side by side with Red Bull. They're really nice battles throughout this race. But that just about covers this race. A crazy one here in Brazil, and I really enjoyed commentating this one. But yeah, a 6th place from 4th on the grid, not bad. We definitely could have done better, but obviously with the damage at the start, it was just never to be, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm actually really happy with the comeback drive. If you told me I was going to finish P6 after the event of the first lap, I would have certainly taken that. And yeah, really nice strategy work too, to not use the wet tyres and just continue on the worn intermediates. As slow and painful as that was definitely the right choice. And it's not something I really made a big mention of at the time, but those intermediate tyres by the end of the stint were absolutely awful. Anyway, let's get into the interviews with Claire.
Great work out there today. Let's have your thoughts.
Okay.
You're surpassing all expectations. Can anything or anyone stop you?
Yeah, it was a crazy race today. We made so many overtakes, and yeah, it was a lot of good fun.
Some excellent overtaking moves from your former teammate today. Did he learn some of them from you?
I was actually following Lucas through the field for most of this race, so if anything, I think I was learning from him this time. But yeah, he had a storming drive through the field. It was a very solid performance from him.
Did you feel comfortable in the wet weather today?
Yeah, it was alright to start off with, but as the tyres wore out, it became very sketchy, especially when the rain started coming down harder. But I'm glad we went with the strategy we did. It definitely gained us a few extra positions over the race.
Do you think you were lucky not to end your race with that crash?
Oh yeah, of course. But I'll need to see the replay to see exactly what happened, but looked like Hamilton caused it there.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Claire. Alright, so that brings this episode to an end. Just need to look at the upgrades, and that will be it for this one. Losing both of the rivalries at the moment, with Verstappen and Sergio Perez. So we need to be doing something about that soon, or we'll be losing some reputation, so hopefully that doesn't happen. But hopefully we'll get our act together for Abu Dhabi and at the start of next season as those play out. But yeah, a pretty successful day in the office, I would call that, as bad as the start was.
Excellent result today. Finishes like that will look good on your contract reviews. On to the next one.
And Emma seems to be happy with the results as well, so that's always good. 3 invitational events to choose from, and both Verstappen and Perez attending a couple of them as well. So we'll choose from some of those in a minute. But from Carl, he's happy enough with the weekend, so is Emma. So yeah, it is all looking good for the team at the moment, and you can see I didn't show the chart at the start of the episode, but we are so close to the top teams now. I really want to just get that fastest car status before the end of the season, so we're going to chuck the last couple of minor upgrades that we even can do at this point on the car. There's a front downforce upgrade and also a brake upgrade on the chassis side that we can do. There's a front downforce upgrade, and they will go on the car for Abu Dhabi. We can't do major upgrades, otherwise they'll come in for the next season, and that's not particularly helpful for the sort of little goal that I just mentioned. So we're going to do that brake upgrade as well, and hopefully that's enough to give us the fastest car in Abu Dhabi, and hopefully we can win a race by the end of the season. I still can't believe that we've gone the entire first season without a race win. But considering where this car came from, at the back of the midfield, we've made some very nice progress, and I think with a better engine next season, or with improvements to it next season, we will be very much in the title fight come the end of Season 2. Hopefully there's enough time for me to complete that season before the next game comes out, because this season has taken forever to record and edit and upload. But anyway, we've got an invitational event to do. I won't commentate it, so I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Hello again, and thank you for joining us today for one of the few events this year that won't have a critical impact on the World Championship. So maybe we can all relax just a little bit more and enjoy the action from this wonderful field of historic cars.
Are you okay? That was a big one. Confirm you're okay, please.